What if I told you that Nickelodeon didn't just ruin SpongeBob SquarePants, they did it on purpose? SpongeBob became a cultural phenomenon because it was smart, well-written, and appealed to everyone. But now it's loud, brainless, and only made for hyperactive kids. Nickelodeon made it this way on purpose, because kids are their most profitable audience. Think about it, a well-crafted show makes money from its success, but a mindless, overstimulating show hooks kids in, then cashes in on the endless stream of merchandise. That shift turned SpongeBob from a beloved classic into a billion-dollar corporate machine, making Nickelodeon filthy rich. Today, I'm exposing Nickelodeon's corporate ways. Why should we, the loyal fans, sit idly by while they rake in the millions while destroying our childhood shows? In 1999, when SpongeBob first aired, Nickelodeon had a hit on their hands. Most of this is thanks to the creator, Steven Hillenburg's background in marine biology. But the writing itself still made the show the hit it ultimately became. Unfortunately, after Hillenburg's passing in 2018, the fate of the show was left to the new CEO, Brian Robbins. Unfortunately, TV ratings alone don't pay for the CEO's new mansion. Nickelodeon wanted to grow their wealth at all costs, a giant slap in the face for their loyal fans. But hey, if you aren't making them filthy rich, why should they care? So Nickelodeon did what they wanted, and boy did they cash in. By the early 2000s, SpongeBob didn't only exist on the screen, he was everywhere. Lunchboxes, clothing, video games, toys, backpacks, bedding, even toothpaste. If you could slap SpongeBob's face on it, Nickelodeon was selling it. By 2019, the franchise had generated over $13 billion in merchandising sales alone. This was the moment Nickelodeon realized something crucial. The show itself wasn't the product anymore. SpongeBob, the character, was. And that's a problem, because when the character is more important than the story itself, the quality of the show doesn't matter anymore. What mattered was keeping SpongeBob recognizable, marketable, and on screen as much as possible. This is where things took a turn. At first, it seemed like bad luck. Maybe losing creator Steven Hillenburg and his influence caused the decline. Maybe the writers just weren't as good. But the more you look at it, the more obvious it becomes. The first few seasons of SpongeBob were filled with jokes that worked for both kids and adults. The humor was smart, often subtle, and sometimes even satirical.
Boy, it was sure nice of Mr. Krabs to give me a job.
And at $50 an hour, too. When I started working here, I had to pay Mr. Krabs $100 an hour.
But from season 5 onward, the humor changed in a way that began to isolate large portions of its loyal fan base. Episodes lost the wit we once loved and replaced it with randomness. It lost its clever dialogue and instead opted for more screaming and slapstick jokes.
Delivery.
Why? Because Nickelodeon realized that young kids were the most profitable audience. At first, SpongeBob was designed to be a great show first, with humor and storytelling that appealed to both kids and adults. Merchandising was a bonus, but it wasn't the driving force. The money from the show's success went into making more quality episodes. But somewhere along the way, Nickelodeon flipped the formula entirely. Instead of it being make a great show, attract a broad audience, use profits to create more episodes, it became create an overstimulating show that only young kids like, flood them with merchandise, profit from parents buying endless toys, clothes, and junk. And that's exactly what happened. Young kids are the perfect audience for this kind of marketing strategy. They have short attention spans, respond better to bright colors, and latch onto simple, exaggerated characters. They don't care about clever writing, subtle humor, or long-term character development. They just want SpongeBob screaming, Patrick being an idiot, and Squidward getting hurt. But more importantly, kids don't control their own money. Parents do. This is why marketing to children is a goldmine. Unlike adults who make their own purchasing decisions, kids beg for things. They latch onto characters they love, then demand toys, clothes, video games, and anything else with that character's face on it. Parents, worn down by constant whining and tantrums, eventually give in. Nickelodeon clearly knew this. They designed SpongeBob's later seasons around it. The show's change in direction was not because it was creatively better, but because it kept kids glued to the screen. The more they watched, the more Nickelodeon could shove ads in their faces. The more invested they got in SpongeBob's chaotic antics, the more likely they were to want SpongeBob merchandise. This is why SpongeBob stopped being for everyone. The goal wasn't to create a timeless, well-written show that appealed to all ages. The goal was to create a merchandise delivery system disguised as a cartoon. And once Nickelodeon figured that out, there was no going back. The show kept kids engaged long enough to watch more ads, buy more toys, and keep the franchise profitable. Fans noticed the difference. The show's IMDb ratings took a dive. Older viewers started complaining that SpongeBob wasn't what it used to be. But Nickelodeon didn't care, because financially, SpongeBob was stronger than ever. Why would they care about the fans that made them successful in the first place, when their new ones cough up a lot more money? But if that wasn't enough, they took corporate greed to a whole new level. Instead of making bad, exaggerated episodes, they didn't have to make episodes at all. Nickelodeon figured out that the way to make SpongeBob SquarePants even more profitable wasn't by making new content. It was by recycling their massive catalog of episodes over and over again. Their goal was to keep SpongeBob on TV at all costs, and this is when syndication became their new cash-printing machine. Syndication is the backbone of TV networks. It's what allows older episodes to air over and over again, bringing in continuous ad revenue with zero production costs. Nickelodeon took full advantage of this by turning SpongeBob into a permanent fixture on their network. At any given time, if you flipped to Nickelodeon, there was a good chance you'd see SpongeBob, whether it was early morning, mid-afternoon, or late at night. There he was. This wasn't by accident. This was Nickelodeon's strategy: saturate the airwaves with SpongeBob to maximize profits. And for a while, this worked perfectly. Nickelodeon knew that SpongeBob had massive replay value. Unlike shows with long-running story arcs, SpongeBob was episodic. Every episode was a self-contained story. This made it easy to air episodes in any order at any time, without confusing viewers. And because the early seasons of SpongeBob were so good, reruns became just as popular as new episodes. But Nickelodeon didn't just want popular reruns, they wanted constant reruns. They wanted to turn SpongeBob into a never-ending presence on TV. Here's where the problem started. Instead of only playing the best episodes, the ones fans actually wanted to see, Nickelodeon started mixing in newer, low-effort episodes to keep content fresh. This did two things. It disguised the decline in quality. If newer episodes were played alongside older, beloved ones, casual viewers wouldn't immediately notice the drop in writing and animation quality. And it kept SpongeBob relevant, even when newer seasons were objectively worse. To Nickelodeon, it didn't matter that newer episodes weren't as funny or well-written. All that mattered was that SpongeBob was still on the air, keeping kids watching, keeping advertisers happy, and keeping toy sales high. The problem with this strategy is that it completely removed the need for SpongeBob to maintain high-quality storytelling. Think about it, if Nickelodeon could make just as much money by replacing old SpongeBob episodes, why bother making new ones that were just as good? Producing new TV episodes is expensive. Writers, animators, voice actors, post-production, all of it costs money. But reruns, on the other hand, reruns are the gift that keeps on giving. Once an episode is made, it can be aired an infinite number of times with zero additional production costs. And because TV networks make money through advertisements, each time an episode airs, they get paid again. This is why Nickelodeon prioritized keeping SpongeBob on TV forever. Rather than just ending it after its natural run, by the late 2010s, SpongeBob wasn't just a TV show, it was Nickelodeon's entire identity. While other Nickelodeon shows came and went, SpongeBob was the one thing that never changed. No matter what, SpongeBob was always on the schedule, keeping the network afloat. Nickelodeon used SpongeBob as a fallback whenever a new show failed. If a new cartoon didn't perform well, they just put more SpongeBob reruns on the schedule to fill the gaps. And that's why SpongeBob SquarePants isn't what it used to be. Not because the creators ran out of ideas, not because times changed, but because Nickelodeon wanted it this way. Because a good show makes money, but a mindless, never-ending brand? That makes billions. These decisions prove that Nickelodeon's greed has no bounds. If a beloved kids show isn't immune from the movie industry's money-hungry ways, there is no hope for us, the true fans. But I want to change that. I believe that for there to be any redemption, we need to stand up to these corporations and show the world what they're doing behind the scenes. And that's exactly what this channel is about. If you believe in fixing the wrongs, rewriting the bad, and calling out the evil, then subscribe and show Hollywood that we're done standing by.